Hi everyone, welcome to Kalkona Cricket Cast. I'm your host Pratham. I'm joined by our other host Rohan, and today we're going to be discussing our final thoughts on the first Test match between West Indies and South Africa, played in St. Lucia. So this was a disappointing match for me to watch, to be honest, and I'm sure Rohan would say the same. We're both huge fans of the West Indies, and to see them show a lack of fight, capitulate. That's the only real word for it. Apart from, I guess, Chase was pretty disappointing. It was a match which didn't last till the third day, and again, you don't want to see that in a test match, usually, right? Especially if it's not competitive. And this was a fairly one-sided match. South Africa bowled out the Windies for 97, and when you get bowled,
they were bowled out before tea on day one. I think when you say that, it's like unless it's like the greenest of green wickets. It's that's not a good sign.
You're gonna lose the match most of the time. You might be able to pull off a draw if you had the 20% of the time, but usually
80% of the time you're gonna lose it.
I thought South Africa then were bolstered really by some partnerships that were going in the top order. The two men who are now the senior pros, if you will, of this side, Markram and Razi, stitched together a good partnership. And then obviously wicket stumbled in the end. And then Quinny de Kock. Man, that bloke is really something. A second coming of Gilchrist. And he played like
everyone has been talking about how great BJ Watling has been, right? And that's true. I mean, BJ Watling has been probably the best keeper in the world for the last 2 or 3 years.
Rizwan
is the other guy who's like, everyone's like, oh yeah, he's going to be really good, like in a year or two. Rishabh Pant, same thing as Rizwan. It's like, oh, he's going to be the best keeper in the world. He might be the best keeper in the world. Is he the best keeper in the world? And then all of a sudden you get like you get Quinn de Kock, who's sort of has had some struggles the last few years. And then he's come back and he's like, okay, I'm going to go save the Rhinos. After saving the Rhinos, I'm going to just be a really good cricketer. And he scores an insane 140 something. Just basically batting with the number 10 and number 11.
Just like tees off in the end, right? Difference between Aiden Markram and Quinn de Kock and a lot of the Windies batsmen, right? They played sensibly to get themselves in first, right? And then they, started to express themselves a little bit further, right? Like Quinny de Kock has been increasingly doing that, as you've mentioned, off late in test matches because of, the senior batsman responsibility that he has to unearth, right? Like he is the senior most batsman along with Algo on that side. And so they needed to perform up to expectations in that regard. And I'm just glad that he's come through.
He's a genuinely, like, him taking on the captaincy last year because Faf decided he couldn't play test cricket anymore, and AB and Amla and all those other great players that they've had saying, I need to, we're stepping back, we can't play test cricket anymore, we're really not,
we're retiring,
we hold ourselves to when we retired as a result. It's good to see Quinn de Kock, who's a good guy, who said, okay, I'll put my hand up for the captaincy and I'll be the captain. Even though I don't want to be captain, I think I'll be a poor captain. And did a good job. I mean, considering I didn't do a good job with the captaincy. He's done a good job since he gave up the captaincy. It showed that he's still a quality player.
I think the other thing that's helped him is he's now batting at a position he likes at that number 6 slot. And
there's not enough time to bat with the top and middle order, and then enough time with the tail that he can just go tee off and go for whatever.
And what was so impressive about the way he constructed his innings in particular in this match, right, was that the way he targeted certain bowlers, right? Like Jaden Seals, who we'll come into, fantastic young prospect, like one of the best pace bowling prospects I have seen in the last 10 years, and that's not an understatement.
I put him up there with Shaheen Shah Afridi for best young seamer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But he bowled quite well. Took 3 wickets, was going under 3 runs an over, bowled 18, 19 overs or what. And then in that 20th over, right, smashes him for 17. And then automatically the next over, he started bowling multiple wides, right? And it's that. Yeah, exactly. And it was that sort of targeting and that sort of calculated attack, right? Which was so impressive, because if there is a criticism of Quinton de Kock often, it's that sometimes he will target good bowlers, but he doesn't have like a plan as to how to carry out the attack. Sometimes he's just playing in purely by instinct, right? And him targeting Jaden Skills in particular to start that counter offensive from that 70 odd that he had made was, or 60 odd, I think it was 63 at the
60
time.
odd at that time. Then he said, "Okay, yeah, I'm going for it." And he
brilliant,
brilliant runs.
Really brilliant.
Yeah,
Changed the match. Really.
He won them the match. Let's be real. The minute he got a century, they were mentioning in commentary that like the entire West Indian squad seemed to drop their heads. They're like, "Oh God, we're not gonna." Not only do we not have a chance like winning the match, we're not gonna have a chance at saving the match. Yeah. And you could see it in their body language. West Indies have been one of the teams I've always been sort of very favorable towards. If you watch some of our earlier videos on the West Indies, it's like, yeah, I think this team could potentially be pushing for top 5, top 6, top 4 spot potentially in 1 or 2 years in the World Test Championship. I honestly think that they'd have a shot in 3 or 4 years at potentially going and trying to win the damn thing. But it's frustrating to see this team struggle like this. I really do think that they needed Nkrumah Brawner, who obviously got a concussion. It's not his fault, right? It's not anyone's fault. He got a concussion and he was out for the match. They needed someone like that. They needed someone like a Darren Bravo, right, in the squad. Not because they're like they're a world class batsman. Obviously, they're world class batsmen. So that would instantly make them much better.
Yeah, that's what the side is missing, to be honest.
Yeah, really. I mean, if you had to pick one thing, but the other thing that those two guys do is that they bat really well in partnerships. They give, because here's the thing, right? From 5 through 7, 5 through 8, really, or even when Alzari Joseph's playing, 5 through 9.
Yeah,
that team bats really well down the order.
Yeah,
right. You have Chase, you have Holder, then you have Joshua Da Silva, then you have Bucky Cornwall, then you have Alzari Joseph, and those guys can all bat. They all bat well. If you have all 5 of those guys working, then you got someone on the other end who can just build a partnership, right? Just take the sting out of this New Zealand or South African bowling attack. Yeah, or just any bowling attack, really. And you let them come in at number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8. That's really hard to deal with, because now
it is, and
but it's so frustrating for me as an outside observer seeing them not be able to do that kind of stuff.
Your point, right? I think also they just don't know how to win the big moments, right? They're a team that has lost so much and has, yes, they've won some recent series in Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, but against top quality opposition, right? With the exception of maybe England, who they seem to raise the game for. They don't really know how to win those big moments, right? And part of that also comes from the frailties of that top order, right? And what I mean by that is their top order. We were discussing this.
They only have, let's be very brutally honest. They have one class batsman in that top 3.
Yeah, I mean,
and that guy decided not to wear shades, so he instantly gets a deduction of 20 runs on his average, just instantly.
Yeah. Dude, come on, man. You gotta I said, you gotta listen to
like
Dino.
A West Indian captain. You have to look the part, man.
Yeah, come on.
You have to look like you don't give a damn about what the other guy's going to do. You already have a plan. You're going to come out here. You're just going to be the coolest guy on the entire thing. It's like, yeah, I know that most top order batsmen don't wear sunglasses when they're batting unless it's like really sunny. Who cares? I'm going to wear sunglasses because I'm cool.
You got to have your own fashion statement, dude. Clive Lloyd had glasses. You got
to have your own you have to have a sense of swagger. You have to just be like, yeah, I'm the best player on the planet. I'm the West Indian captain. I'm a batsman from the West Indies. Yeah, of course I'm the best player on the planet, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, Kraigg Braithwaite, every match that he's worn sunglasses while batting, they've either won or draw. They haven't lost.
Yeah.
I think that's the secret. He needs to wear sunglasses all the time.
Screw all that analysis.
It doesn't matter.
Doing it's the sunglasses, man.
If you're playing in Trent Bridge with or Edgbaston with cloud cover that is just barely above the field, you still wear the damn sunglasses. Tough quality players up and down that lineup. They can score centuries. They can score 50s. They can score 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, right? But the problem is that they don't have someone in that lineup who just is willing to take the hits and keep going forward for them.
Yeah, they don't have somebody who's bloody-mindedly consistent. It's disappointing to see is that bowling wasn't actually bad in this test match, right?
It wasn't. It was actually quite good. It was only after de Kock got that century that they started dropping, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they were effective.
Very effective. I thought Roach didn't get many rewards in this match, but bowled a probing line spell was pretty accurate. Jaden Seals, magnificent. His seam presentation is so immaculate. He's tall, gets probably the most amount of bounce that I've seen from any bowler in this, a young bowler making his debut with that height. It's just the perfect action to optimize that bounce, and he was able to swing it and seam it both ways without any particular,
which is very impressive.
Yeah,
but again,
and he wasn't even bowling top whack, which is what was so impressive. He was bowling low 130s, and he was still able to do all of that. It was incredible.
We've spent a lot of time talking about the West Indies, but I think we have to.
But we need to give credit where it's credit's due, man. The South African bowling attack.
South African bowling attack was genuinely looks like they're back to being the scariest bowling attack you'll ever face.
What really impressed me was you were talking about batting partnerships, right? Bowling partnerships also matter, right? And Ngidi in that first match, when he came in and decided to bowl very tight to keep track for Norkia and Rabada on the other end, and then when he got the chance to go after the lower middle order and Tail sort of went after them and blew them away after Norkia hit those initial strikes, was damn good. He's always a guy who I've liked. His action is quite good, gets in swinging to the right hand, is bouncy, and was generating bounce here and bowled genuinely tight lengths, slightly back of a length, bowled really well. Norkia slowed down in this particular match, which was surprising to see, but he realized the conditions here in the St. Lucia pitch were much more seamer friendly and grassy, but there wasn't much pace in the wicket, even though there was some bounce that you could bend your back and extract.
Yeah, obviously, we're talking about bounce and Nkrumah. That bounce to Nkrumah Bonner that knocked him out. But he bowled really well, concentrated on getting a bit more of the ball to swing. He's not like Shannon Gabriel. He's not known for swinging or seaming the ball that much, getting much lateral movement, but he was able to get a decent amount in this match and really rip through that top order and exposed the middle order and Tail really to Norkia to blow away in that first innings. And then Rabada, who had consistently been bowling really well, I think he's still not quite at his best because, again, the pace was down a little bit. But in that second innings, he came back and started bowling basically, leg spinners, outswingers. It was remarkable. He bowled one banana ball to Hope in particular. Just unbelievable, right? And I think he was a little bit unlucky in this match, actually. He didn't get the wickets that he probably should have deserved. For how well he bowled, especially in that first innings. In that first innings, he was just all over them. There was no respite.
Yeah,
I think the one thing that the South African team has really needed, especially since Dale Steyn and Morning Local hung up their spikes, is a genuine pace battery. And I think in a way it is fitting for the West Indies, probably the home to some of the most effective pace batteries of all time, going from Robertson and Holding and Marshall and Ambrose and Walsh and then just nothing to get to see that kind of. And you could hear how impressed Sir Kirtley was up in the commentary. He was like, "Oh yeah, these guys know what they're doing. They're bowling genuinely quick. They're putting pressure on the West Indies batting line." You could feel that it was sort of bittersweet. He's like, "This is so great to see in the Caribbean again." Also,
I wish it wasn't.
Why is it happening to my team?
Yeah.
Could it happen? Could it happen to someone else? Could it happen to England or something?
Yeah. No, I agree, man. It's always a good sight to see three quality pacers operating with each other, and Maharaj gave them decent support as well. Putting things up, right? Really tough for the Windies. Certainly not the ideal way to start off a 2-match test series. But I think there is some, hope going forward.
There's really some lessons taken from this match. I think the problem for the West Indies is they need someone, Shea Hope or one of the other, or Nick Puran or someone else, right?
Yeah, some top order batsman.
To figure out how to be a proper batsmen.
Yeah,
Right.
and construct long innings, right? And be willing to curb your stroke play, but making sure that you're not
Get
getting
yourself in. Get yourself 30 runs. Get 30 runs on the board, and then go for now I can go and show off my talent.
Yeah,
now I can
honestly,
go and show off my stroke play.
Yeah, honestly, that is a good approach. I'll quote Brian Lara to sum things up here for what the Windies need to do going forward, right? Brian Lara used to say, "Always, I'm going to play till I get to what my batting average currently is, and then after that, I'll reassess," right? And I think a lot of these players need to go in with that mindset, right? If you have a batting average of 30, 35, whatever it is, get to 30, play as circumspect and as responsibly as you can, and then start playing, not necessarily opening up entirely, but playing more expansively if the team situation is according to it. South Africa, great start.
South Africa came into this match with Gene Elgar saying, "I want to see centuries and fifers." Well, they got century and he got a fifer. They got two.
Multiple.
So I think from his perspective, this is great. This is fantastic, and I think they're playing to their game plan. They're playing to their strengths, which is their bowling lineup, and game on. I think that's a good place to call it. Series is 1-0 on South Africa. One match to go, and hopefully the West Indies can find something to fight back on. And with that, we'll sign off and see you guys next time.